All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another amazing episode of EdUp Career School's The Scoop with your host, Kathy Belletti. Today, I brought back one of my heavy hitters, Iasia Gregory. Okay, Iasia has been in the industry since she was like, what, 11? No, I'm just kidding. Aija's been in this industry for dumb long, right? But so today we're getting into the script because bottom line is a lot of schools, they hate the script, but I believe that every advisor should have some type of guideline. So Iasia, first off, talk to us about why you've been in this industry for so long and what do you love about career education?
Hey, everybody. Hey, Kathy. Thank you
Hey.
for having me back again.
Cool.
Yes, I have been in proprietary education since I was 19 years old. And funny enough, it all started with me in this field as a telemarketer. So I understand what that looks like being over the phone. But to answer your question, the reason I've been in proprietary so long is because I really have a passion about changing lives. It's not just my job. This is literally my purpose. I know that I'm walking in my purpose that I was given. This is my identity, to help people, especially young adults. So for me, I'm not tired. It's been that long. I'm not tired. I'm not going to say my age, but I love it. I can't even see myself. I just thank God all the time for this career. I don't know what else I would be doing if I wasn't really talking to people and really helping people see who they are. You know what I mean? I think it's very important for people to know their identity and their purpose. So that's why I've been in it so long.
I love that. I love that. Look, when it comes to being in admissions for anywhere plus 10 years for anybody, right? It has to be a passion because our students, as much as we love them, they are not the easiest cookies to deal with, because when it comes to traditional versus non-traditional, right? To get into a traditional school, a university, most times you just have to meet the minimum criteria, right? To get into that school. But when it comes to career education, it's totally different. Our students, they're faced with so many false beliefs, that's prohibiting them from moving forward. So when it comes to a script, when you're talking to a student for the first time, you need to have a guideline. Me personally, I'm not a big fan of scripts, and I think it's more the perception because there are some schools where you have to follow to a T. You can't even get a word wrong, right? And I feel like some advisors begin to think, okay, I can't be myself, right? But it's all about how you perceive the script. I love call guides because I think that it shows you, all right, this is what I need to say next. Because when you're talking to the non-traditional student, you have to have a process because besides the fact that they're habitual shoppers, they do a lot of research. And when you're talking to them on the phone, guess what? When they start throwing out those objections and you have no idea which direction to go, you end up like, all right, so you have no idea where you are in your conversation. So you get thrown off. You need some type of guideline. Yes. So talk to us about how you feel about a script or a guide, and what do you think is the main purpose?
Okay. So I'm with you guys. I do not like robotic scripts. They drive me nuts. But I do believe in you having to be intentional about a phone call that you're making and you being structural in the sense of what's going on in the call and where you need this call to go. And I think that that's very important because you do need to have some type of structure. But I really do believe that you can incorporate your personality. You can incorporate all that in getting people to connect. So one of the things that I do is I have a script that a guideline, I'm sorry, not a script, but a guideline which keeps you in line with your phone call until it becomes a natural thing to you. And so one of the things, part of my script that I use is the intro, the body, and the close. There's 3 parts to the script. And I do the intro, the body, and the close. What are we doing in the intro? right? That's the question. Okay, what's going on in the intro? So the intro is you're gathering information, you're bonding, you're getting the person on the other line to talk about themselves. If you are the only person talking, how do you go to the next? How do you move forward in the call? So it has to be first thing first, you have to bond. For me, I bond if it's a name. You know, I love doing this type of training too, because I bond if it's a name. I bond with even how they sound. You know, it's very important to connect with people where they are. If you're already in the phone call and you're already trying to overcome objections before you've even bonded, you've already lost. You've already lost the battle, you know. And so a big thing is that's what I'm doing in the intro. I'm bonding and I'm getting the student to pretty much, or the prospect, to talk. I need to talk. The more information you get from them, that's gonna, you know, yield your phone call and know how to, you know, assist them in going in the direction. Yeah, you need them to go, but again, when it's about them, you're trying to help them, so you know how to gear them. You know what I mean? The next, any questions on that part?
Well, actually, I love that you're talking about bonding, because when it comes to our student, I hear a lot of advisors, they're like, the student, they're not giving me anything. They're just saying, yeah, no, but you got to find a way to open that up. And it's all about asking those open-ended questions, right? But then what advisors sometimes don't understand is you're selling yourself too. You have some students who just show up for appointment because they want to see you. And they're like, ooh, Iasia, she sounds really nice and genuine in her delivery. And that alone will make them walk into the campus. So I love that you're talking about building rapport. Go ahead.
Yeah, and I'm glad that you said, Kathy, open-ended questions. You know, what is a question that you can ask a person to get them to talk about themselves? You know what I mean? And so you have to ask those questions and wait for a response. You can't move any further. You cannot move any further into the next portion that I'm going to talk about without that part. Super important. Okay. So the next part of the script guide that I'd like to say, which is the body. And the body is that, and this isn't proprietary, but it's giving them a reason to come in and visit the school based upon not your need. It has to be based upon their need. At the end of the day, look, let's keep it 100, right? We need them to come in based upon quotas and goals and all that type of stuff. But they don't need to feel like that. They need to feel like they're coming in because this is something that they need to do based upon the bonding, the reason that they went online in the first place. You know what I mean? Our students, knowing the type of students that we have, that they're procrastinators. They're fibbers. You know what I mean? They can't help it. This is just who they are. We're the ones that have to, you know, take them along the journey. So getting them through the door is a big piece. And all of your success will come from the phone call. No people coming through the door. You can't you can't make budget. You can't change lives, right? So the body is a big piece, giving the student to visit the school based upon their need. What's their needs to come in? You know, they need to talk about finances. For some of them, that's a big thing. You can't do all that over the phone. They need to see the environment they're going to be in. That's a big need. They can't do that over the phone. They want to meet you. Hey, right? They can't do that over the phone. They're just coming in contact with your energy. They're coming in contact with that passion that you're giving them to have hope that they can do something. So these are just a few examples of reasons for students to come in. It's based upon their need. And I will always say, in the body part, you're still bonding. You're still bonding the whole way. You're still bonding with the student or the prospect to make sure that you have that right connection. And I'm going to give you a little sidebar. When you are in confidently bonding with the student, there's some questions they won't even ask. Now you do have the informed person that's going to be like, how much is the tuition? But when you're literally in control and y'all bonding and you going back and you're like, okay, so this is what we're going to do. Based upon what you're telling me, I know I can help you. Will you let me help you? They're not going to say, who's going to say, no, I ain't going to let you help you.
Exactly.
Right? I mean, you might get one or two, but will you let me help you? When they say, yes, this is what we're going to do. Be in control of it, because you're the one that's the professional. You're the one that has the tools to help them win, to help them change. And when you're confident in that and they feel that, they're going to follow.
Yeah, that's true. You know what I find also? I think sometimes advisors are afraid to ask certain questions because they think that the person is actually actually going to be offended, or they're going to start saying, why would you ask me that? Or you're getting too personal, right? But a lot of that goes into building trust, because if the student feels as if you trust them, it doesn't matter what you ask. And it's the way that you ask also. More, I always tell advisors, if you want to get somebody to open up, ask why. Why is that? You know, when you think of like a child, everything they're like, why, how come? And you're like, but it's forcing you to keep answering the question, right? It's the same thing with our students, no matter how mature or how young they are. If you ask why, it's forcing them to go, wait a minute, I never even thought about why. And now they start to dig, and all you do is sit back and take notes.
In that order, period. And it's so true. I'm glad that you said, you highlighted that, because that also, when they're talking and you're repeating that stuff back, that gives them an opportunity to hear what they're saying. Some people don't even hear themselves. You know what I mean?
Nope.
You know, they don't even know what they're saying, but you asking them has to make them think and be like, you know what, based upon what you're telling me, you sound like you're so tired of being in this same place, and you want your children to have something better. Man, I want to look, I'm gonna help you. And they're gonna be like, yeah, help me.
Exactly.
So I'm so glad that you highlighted that, because they need to hear. They need to hear them.
Yep, it's that recap, right?
Yeah.
So when we talk about the recap, that's your opportunity to showcase that you were listening.
Yep.
Okay. And I think where a lot of advisors go left, they think the recap is a regurgitation of everything that the student says. And sometimes when you're listening and they're like, so you attended school in 1926, and then you didn't finish that. So you went and got your GED, and then you went to this school to take this, and then that school, and then your daughter's 5 years old. I'm like, what does that have to do with anything that is causing the student to want to make a change right now? I always say highlight when you hear something good, because what I'm thinking is, when you think of a script and gathering information, you need to think of some things that you can use when this person starts to disappear. When they enroll for the program, and then all of a sudden you texting them about their financial aid appointment, and you hearing nothing but dial tone, silence. You need to be able to go back to your notes and go, what is their situation? Why did they need this in the first place? Boom. And then leave that on their voicemail. It has to be waking them up.
That is so good. That is, oh guys, I hope you are hearing that. That is so good. Because that's what I was going to talk about in the closing. In the closing, that's exactly what you're doing. You're giving them back what they gave you. You're letting them know that you heard them. You know what I mean? You're even telling students, bring your kid, whatever the case may be. You're reiterating that bond. You're making sure that they're telling you back that they're not, because I told you our students they like to fib a little bit. So, if they're not saying the things back that you would have, they said to you, you can say, well, that's the time to even say, look, you don't sound like you're being serious. I'm so 100% with them. I'm like, look, keep it 100. You got to be able to bond with them where they are on their level. You know what I mean? And it's so important from beginning to end to remain in that bond, remain getting them to talk. If that takes you off course for a second, sometimes you got to go off for a second. You don't have to do 30 minutes of tangent, but you do need to address what you hear, because that's going to make you stand out from the zillions of schools that are calling them, telling them that they need to come in and see them. What makes you different? There needs to be a specific type of thing that you do with that student over the phone that they don't hear anywhere else.
Yep. I love that you said that sometimes you may have to stay on the topic and kind of go off for a minute or two, because I think sometimes advisors get lost in the process, but they're not really focused on the prospect. So they're talking to people, and these students are like really spilling out some really crazy stuff. You got people in the hospital. Some of them have been in abusive situations. Some of them are going through depression. And because the advisor is so focused on, I had to get through the script, I got to make sure I don't miss a point, the empathy is out the window. Right? Good. So how do you think the student feels when they just talk about, this is what I really need to do, and I'm at my wit's end, and I feel as if you're my last resort? For the advisor to sit there and go, okay, so where are you working right now? Smack. Sometimes you have to hear something and say, all right, I need to stay on this topic for a little bit. I need to handle this situation. Even when it comes to people who say, I've been to like 5 different schools. The answer to that is not like, okay, so why are you ready now? No, we need to focus focused on those 5 schools. You've been to 5 schools and you didn't complete any of them. Let's talk about that for a little bit. What was going on? Were you trying to find, the best program for you? Was it something that was going on personally where you had to keep moving? You got to stay on a topic. If you feel something, say something.
Yep.
And then you could always move on. And that's why you need some type of guide so that after you go off, you can just glance at your paper and go, all right, so this is what I need to jump back into next.
And you could not have said that more perfectly. It's so important because, back in the day, if, for those of you who have been in the industry a long time, we had the 5, 7, 8-minute rule.
Yep.
And I get it. It should be within that amount of time.
Uh-huh.
But listen, we're dealing with special people. It's different times. You have a lot going on in the world and people don't have any time to vent a little bit, address the situation.
Yes.
And then I wanted to say one more thing. For those of you who have to do the whole interview and everything online, bonding is going to be the only way you're going to have thoughts that really, really stick because you're not seeing students in person. A lot of students are doing things online. So if they're doing things online, your bond game got to be tight. You got to be a counselor. You got to be a little bit of a therapist, just a little bit. For those of you who are, 100% online, this is not for my people that are coming in, you know what I mean? But for those of you that are online and that's the only way that you're able to connect with the student, your bonding game has to be 100% on point because they can't come in and see you.
No.
They got to feel you. They got to connect with you, so that's very, very super important.
I love that you brought up online because here's what's happening too. You have some schools who still haven't transitioned back into going into the campus, especially depending on the type of program that you have. Some owners have gotten to the point where they're like, oh, we could roll with this because it's been working, because we don't have any hands-on programs. So when you're talking about a ground campus, you may have some advisors who may be able to wing it because once they get into the campus, sometimes the school sells itself, right? So as you're walking around, you're like, oh my gosh, these students look like they're having an amazing time. You have the opportunity to look at a student and you can look at their body language and you have the opportunity to say, are you okay? Because you look a little confused or you seem as if you didn't really catch what I just, explained. But when you're online, 100% of that is going to be in the questions you ask, your tone, your voice inflection, and you're going to have to be able to pick up those nonverbal cues, so even if you hear silence, you're listening to pure silence, that's a red flag. Okay, what's going on? Because you were talking a lot in the beginning of this call and now all of a sudden you're not saying anything. Talk to me. What's going on in your mind? Let me know. You have to be more upfront when it comes to talking to students online because like you said, you don't have the school that can sell this for you. It's all about you and your personality and building trust and getting that person to understand, you know what? I think K.A.T is the one. I really feel her energy and I think she's going to be able to help me get to the next level. Thank you so much for bringing up online schools.
Absolutely. And then one more thing is when you've done all this and you've implemented all this and you closed everything out, when they come in, it's so much easier because all you're doing is picking up on the great bonding connection that you've had. There's times that, even before COVID, a student comes in that I've just had an amazing conversation with the day before, and they come in with a hug, you know what I mean? And they come in just like ready. They come in ready to receive everything that you're getting ready to present to them. And it makes it so much easier and it's rewarding. So it's not hard anyway. The hardest thing is you're just trying to get somebody to see that they need change. They need it. They want it. They're asking for it, but they're so used to procrastinating, people letting them off the hook and all that type of stuff, fighting and all of that. So they want to kind of self-sabotage, but don't let them off the hook.
Yeah. And those are the students who are actually going to stick and graduate because we all know that retention is huge. It's a huge problem for a lot of schools. And most people don't understand that a lot of this comes from the very first conversation with the student.
Yes.
If you're asking the right questions, if you're really digging and finding out what is their why, I hate surface level answers. Okay, my worst is I want to help people. What do you mean you want to help people? Be a cop. You could be a firefighter. You could be a vet if you want to help people.
Yes.
I want to know, in what aspect are you talking about helping people? And I think too many times our lovely advisors, they're taking the surface level answers and they're thinking that they can make something bigger out of it. No, dig. And if you don't know, just ask, why is that?
Yeah.
How come? When are you planning to do that? What took you so long? You have to ask those questions.
Yes.
Because once the student knows that they can rely on you, they're going to feel disappointed if they try to back out. They're going to feel guilty because they know that you invested all this time and they can feel that you really want the best for them, right? But if it's just a process to you, that's exactly how they're going to take it also. So they're not going to feel any type of way disappearing on you. They're not going to care if they just find another school, because they're not going to have the respect to call you back and say, hey, I've been thinking about this. They're just going to ghost you because there wasn't a connection in the first place.
Period.
So they don't owe you anything.
Right.
You know, I love it. I love it. Anything when it comes to PDLs?
Absolutely. Well, for PDLs, I know not everybody agrees with it, but I always tell people, bring somebody with you, because even if they bring a parent or not a parent, the PDL, it's usually somebody that they're with that are in the same place that they're in.
Yes.
You know, and so I always tell my reps, like, students will burp students. I'm like, pat the belly. Just pat their belly, rub their belly. You know, when they're coming to see you, have that time with them, but ask for what's wrong with asking who else like. We all have influence. We all are influencers in our own right. Everybody is an influence to somebody, okay? So even if you're a friend and you ain't got nothing going on in your life, you still are, somebody is still looking up to you that's on your level. So why not bring them along the way? And I always show them, look at how many lives you changed because you brought somebody in today. You know what I mean? So PDLs, ask for them. If you don't ask for them, you won't get them. One of the things I used to do all the time and with the reps, if they don't ask for them, and these students I'm building a rapport with, they come to me to talk, I'm asking. And I'm going to give the PDL to somebody else, or I can't keep it because you're not asking.
Yeah, a lot of
That's
it.
the easiest fruit to get. That's the easiest fruit to get is somebody is asking. When you have those bad times where you can't get no appointments and you start talking to some of your students that you get appointments right away, they come. Those are low fruit. I love low fruit.
Well, here's the thing too. I think some advisors, they just don't know how to ask, and they feel as if the student is going to think, well, you're not even helping me yet, but you're asking me for a friend. Sometimes it's in the way that you ask. You could easily just say, bring somebody along with you who might be of a support, or someone who can help ask you questions that you may forget to ask. A lot of times that is the PDL that they're bringing. They just don't know yet. How many times you've been interviewing someone and you see the friend next to them, they start leaning in and they're listening to, and in the back of your mind, you're like, I'm coming for you after I deal with this one right here. And they start doing their paperwork. Now I'm going to shift my energy over here. You got to be able to pick up these cues.
Yes.
And a lot of this takes experience and skill set. But if you don't have the experience, use your words and just open your mouth and ask, because closed mouths don't get fed. And sometimes that's just all it is.
They don't get fed.
What about the appointment confirmation? Because here's what happens. So many reps, they're like, you know what? Why do I have to confirm the same day? I already spoke to them yesterday. It was just yesterday. How did you feel about that?
I can go either way with it. Because now, back in the day when you confirmed it was like, let me repeat the information back to you. If they don't repeat it back, they did, we didn't have all that.
It was right in the sky.
But now you can text and get the, like I do texts with emojis. I make it so personal, but you should definitely confirm an appointment. You know what I mean? And the better you get at your appointment, you don't have to call them 50,000 times, but it's okay to confirm appointment in the morning. And one of the things I don't like with the confirmation is, oh, this is Iasia, I'm just calling to confirm that we're still on. No, that is not a confirmation, right? For me, a confirmation is, hey, K.A.T, I'm super excited about seeing you today. I got everything all set up for you. See you soon. Boom.
Yep. You have to be intentional also. And so I love it. I love it. I love it. Girl, we can go on about this topic forever. Okay. But guys, if you were not paying attention, you are missing out. I hope that you guys were taking some really great notes with this conversation, because a lot of advisors are dropping the ball when it comes to these appointment sets. And remember, your company, they are investing thousands and thousands of dollars into these leads. All right. Be yourself. Okay. Yes. Thank you so much, Iasia, for coming back and schooling.
Can I add one thing, Kat?
Yes.
Okay. So I just wanted to encourage not just reps, but there may be presidents watching this or directors of education watching this, and going back to the bonding from the beginning, when we're a team. So when you have students that may be having problems and giving problems in class, I totally recommend bring them back to their rep who they have a bond with, who can help you, help us, help them stay on track.
I love that.
Okay. So be encouraged, everybody. I am.
I am too. You know, you can tell when you have passion, because these topics could go on forever. But that's a very important piece, because that plays into retention also. The advisor had the initial bond with the student that they're not going to express to the instructor all the time. So bring them back to their first love, which was the admissions advisor. All right. So look, if you guys are looking for some more amazing tips, or if you want to watch this full episode, do not forget to head on over to my YouTube page, like and subscribe at Motivate with K.A.T. My owners, my directors, if you were looking for a great platform to give your advisors some training on how to communicate effectively with prospective students, all the way through accountability and managing class starts, head on over to my website at lessons.motivatewithkat.com and set up a free demo. Okay. Until then, thank you, Iasia, for coming on back and schooling everyone. All right. Bye, guys.
Thank you so much for joining us today. If you would like to set up a free demo for your enrollment team, don't forget to head on over to lessons.motivatewithkat.com. This training is 1 year unlimited access for your enrollment advisors, and it's filled with tons of interactive videos, presentations. I'm giving it all away. They're getting all of my downloadable tools that will bring them immediate results. So if you are looking to take your team to the next level, don't forget, once again, that website is lessons.motivatewithkat.com. And don't forget to like and subscribe. Till next time, later.